Minha is going to be at 7 p.m. Please be on time. As we were discussing yesterday, the halacha of a goy who made bread for himself or for another goy. And Maran writes, Yesh matirim v'yesh oserim. There are those that permit the Jew to essentially purchase it without paying, of course, and without discussing payment, to take that, to use that bread that the goy made, and there are those that prohibit. So to permit sounds reasonable because you say, okay, the goy didn't make it for the Jew, the goy made it for another goy, and you're taking it. So that explains that, but why prohibit? We explained yesterday that there are the authorities that hold that the reason Maran said yesh oserim is because of the prohibition of muktzeh. In order to make bread, you need flour. Flour is muktzeh, and therefore, when something starts off Shabbat as being muktzeh, so then it doesn't change its status in the middle of Shabbat. So even though the goy made bread out of it, the bread itself becomes muktzeh. Now, if he made it before Shabbat, obviously that would mean that it doesn't have any relevancy to be prohibited because it was never muktzeh in the beginning of Shabbat. We're talking about where he made it on Shabbat. That means it was flour in the beginning of Shabbat, and therefore it retains the status of muktzeh. Maran writes that you can rely on the lenient opinions if it's a shat dahak, if it's a case of a need. But really, we need to explain if that's the case, that the prohibition, the people that hold it's asur is because of muktzeh. So why is there a position that it is allowed? What happened to the issue of muktzeh? And there's an interesting argument. The matirim, the people that permit, they hold is that muktzeh doesn't apply here. It's true flour is muktzeh, but that's true when it's owned by a Jew. The word muktzeh itself, a lot of people are not aware, it doesn't mean asur. It means set aside. A Jew that has something that he cannot use on Shabbat, like I can't make bread, it's set aside not to be used on Shabbat. However, when it comes to a goy, even something that for us has no usage, for him it does. Because he has no prohibition in making bread on Shabbat. He can make for himself. Goy doesn't have to keep Shabbat and is not allowed to keep Shabbat. So therefore, the poskim write, En hachen b'shel goy. There is no problem of muktzeh when it comes to something that's owned by the goy. He is not setting this aside in the beginning of Shabbat. And therefore, the flour is not muktzeh in the possession of the goy, and it's not muktzeh once it becomes bread in the possession of the Jew. So that's the position of the matirim, and those are the position of the osrim. B'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll see that there's a second explanation in this whole halacha, and then we'll see which one is ikar. Also, the Torah, Divrei Torah, and the learning today for the breakfast is Leilui Nishmat Bechom Menashe Ben Ima Shalom, sponsored by Michael Pulad. Chazak u'baruch.